If you can believe it, despite the many characters who have populated the Simpsons universe, this is the first time I've done a character profile on one of them. And I know what you're thinking. Really? The baby? What about Homer, or Bart, or Krusty the Clown, or the Bumblebee Man? However, upon watching a number of episodes with Maggie as the focus, I've come to realize there's a bit more to her than just being the baby. There are more than 600 episodes and counting of The Simpsons, so I'm obviously not going to mention all of Maggie's appearances. But these appear to be the highlights of this baby who has somehow stayed the same age for over 30 years. Like the rest of her family, Maggie Simpson was introduced in the shorts that aired on The Tracy Ullman Show. Matt Groening's basic sketch was that of her baby always with a pacifier in her mouth and having the same starfish hairstyle as her older sister. The main joke with Maggie in these shorts was her tendency to continually fall down, although this running gag became far less common when The Simpsons got their own series. Maggie is rarely seen without her pacifier in her mouth, although when she does take it out, she looks a lot like a smaller Lisa Simpson. Interestingly enough, for a baby, we don't seem to see her cry often. One of the rare exceptions is when Marge threw out her pacifier in one episode. For the most part, Maggie is often seen in her high chair or in Marge's arms, but there are a number of episodes that showcase her high intelligence and knowledge of what's going on around her. In A Streetcar Named Marge, Maggie is taken to a preschool, the Ayn Rand School for Tots. While there, Maggie takes part in a Great Escape-esque plan to get back her beloved pacifier, which is quite a cute little subplot. In Itchy and Scratchy the movie, it's revealed that Maggie can drive after she steals the family car for a joyride. Unsurprisingly, the rest of The Simpsons are completely oblivious to her abilities, and mostly see her as just an innocent baby. Her relationship with her family is an interesting one. There are episodes where Bart is shown to have a genuine love for his baby sister, but where the show is really at its most heartwarming is in the episodes where we see her connection with Homer. In Lisa's first word, the family attempts to get Maggie to say her first word. Maggie does eventually say her first word, but out of earshot from the rest of the family.
Daddy.
That touching moment was voiced by Elizabeth Taylor, who reportedly recorded variations of that one word many times, until the producers found a take they liked. Apparently, all the other takes sounded too sexy. Yet, maybe it wasn't the best idea to hire the star of Cleopatra to voice a baby. Since then, Maggie's voice has been primarily done by Nancy Cartwright. The episode, And Maggie Makes Three, is one that reveals that despite his occasional frustrations with his children, Homer seems to have a particular bond towards Maggie. It's revealed that Maggie is what keeps him motivated and in good spirits at the power plant. When I think of The Simpsons, I confess I mostly see it as a silly show, and not as a series that touches the heartstrings. However, even I will admit this is a sweet moment. And there's another episode where Maggie actually saves Homer from drowning, revealing an untapped strength in her. In the Simpsons movie, she also figures out how to escape the dome that has trapped Springfield, and defeats the film's villain. Maggie is not always loyal to her family, though. In one episode, the Simpson children are taken away from their parents and forced to live with the Flanders family. Maggie ends up liking Ned and even starts adopting his way of speaking. It takes seeing Marge's weird hairdo again to finally bring her back. Curiously, Maggie has had quite a few infamous confrontations with Mr. Burns of all people. In the episode Rosebud, she comes in possession of Mr. Burns' childhood teddy bear, and the evil billionaire tries everything in his power to get it from her. Maggie shows an act of selflessness by giving the bear to Mr. Burns, although the old man is not changed by the experience for long. Then there's the famous two-parter, Who Shot Mr. Burns? Fox actually held a contest for viewers to figure out who the shooter was, albeit with rather complicated rules. Apparently, nobody correctly guessed Maggie as the culprit. Since then, there have been debates over whether Maggie shot Mr. Burns intentionally or if it was just an accident. There was a later episode that showed Maggie knew how to handle a gun, but I think it's funnier thinking that this whole mystery was caused by a baby pulling the wrong trigger. Maggie has a recurring rivalry in the form of Baby Gerald, which has become notable enough for him to be added to the show's intro. They're mostly seen together at the daycare or strolling past each other. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Taylor was not the only Oscar-winning actress to give voice to Maggie. In Four Great Women and a Manicure, the writers adapted Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, with Maggie in the role of the architect. In the episode, she tries her hardest to show her creativity, but her teacher continually tries to get her to conform. This results in Maggie giving a speech, where she's voiced by Jodie Foster. Even though Maggie does not get nearly as much attention on the series as Homer and Bart do, the team behind the show clearly have an affection towards her. As a result, she has gotten the starring role in 2 theatrical short films. The first was The Longest Daycare, which premiered in 2012 in front of Ice Age Continental Drift. Directed by David Silverman, this short was quite the charmer, nicely using the often silent Maggie to good effect. The sight gags are very clever, and her dealing with Gerald trying to smash a caterpillar results in an exciting chase. Hans Zimmer also wrote a spirited score for the short that added to its enjoyment. The Longest Daycare was nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Short, and it's hard to argue against its inclusion. 8 years later, Maggie's second short film, Playdate with Destiny, premiered in front of Disney Pixar's Onward. The short was actually being worked on right when Disney's purchase of 20th Century Fox was finalized. Bob Iger himself even watched the short, approving its placement in front of the new Pixar film. Playdate with Destiny is also rather sweet, as it focuses on Maggie striking up a relationship with a baby named Hudson. The short does a good job of developing the relationship and Maggie's longing to see him again. The short even shows the difference in parenting techniques between Marge and Homer. David Silverman directed this short too, showing how important these characters are to him. Both The Longest Daycare and Playdate with Destiny are available to watch on Disney+, so check them out and let me know what you think. You know, I used to think of Maggie Simpson as just the baby, and I did not find her to be that engaging or funny. However, upon watching the episodes I highlighted in addition to the shorts, it made me realize there's a lot more to her than just the baby. See you next time.